Hello everyone, I'm Brazen Eagle, and thank you for joining me here. So, from Information Liberation, Texas court orders father to raise his son as a transsexual. You heard that right, as a transsexual. July 12, 2019. A Texas father has been legally prohibited from raising his son as a boy because his ex-wife allegedly decided their son is a transgender girl and is preparing him for literal chemical castration at the age of 8 and a future sex change surgery which a father may be forced to help pay for, from RT. Jeff Younger, who was locked in a court battle with his ex-wife over whether their son should undergo transitioning into a girl, or to a girl, says a court order bans him from discussing things like religion or the need to be respectful to girls. Jeff and his former spouse, Anne Georgulas, are trying to resolve a parental dispute over their son, James. Anne insists that James identifies as a girl, calls him Luna, what a stupid name, and envisions hormone therapy and eventually sex change surgery in the future. Jeff rejects the idea and says his son is perfectly comfortable being a boy in his presence. The pair are fighting a legal battle, with a court temporarily ordering Jeff not to impose a male identity on the child. Are you kidding me? The order forbids Jeff from calling his son James in front of anyone who knows him as a girl, and this significantly limits what they can do together, he told RT's Sophie Shea. I'm not going to say all that entire name. I'll mess it up too much. Basically, I can't go to school. I keep him away from any friends he might have at school that know him as a girl, and at my home he's known as James, and I use male pronouns. What I'm prohibited from doing right now is trying to convince him that he's actually a boy, he said. The court's ruling means that Jeff, who is a religious Orthodox Christian, has to be careful when discussing his faith with his son, he said. He is also cautious about teaching James how to behave decently so that his words cannot be interpreted as imposing a male gender identity. I'm even a little trepidatious about reading the book of Genesis as we go through our Bible readings after Pascha, he said. So I've had a lot of trouble communicating with him on religious issues and on basic things that you'd have to teach boys, issues around self-control, how they should deal with women, older women being respectful to females of their peer group. It's very difficult for me to figure out how to do this without violating that order. Jeff said James was misdiagnosed with gender dysphoria and simply wants the approval of both his parents. James, the son, just wants to make both his parents happy. The court asked us to take them to social services and let the boys express their preferences, Jeff said. Also, something to let you guys know, this isn't their only child. Because it does say, let the boys express their preferences, Jeff said. And what James said was this. He wants to be a girl at his mom's home and a boy at his dad's home. He basically wants both his parents to love him. Jeff Younger wrote an entire book about the case, which he has shared on his website, SaveJames.com. Here's a screenshot from the mother, I guess from this SaveJames.com site. Figure 4, Miss Georgulas changed James from a boy to a girl on her business website, drannmd.com. Here's the main bullet points from his website. A child being prepared for sex change surgery at age 7. James is a 7-year-old boy. His mother is attempting to change his gender. James prefers to be a boy, but since at the age of 3, his mother has chosen to dress him as a girl and called him by the name Luna. She has enrolled him in school as a girl. He is currently in 1st grade. The teachers and administrators know that he is a boy, but the other parents and students are unaware. He is undergoing social transitioning therapy to prepare for chemical castration at the age of 8. James' father, Jeff, is fighting to protect his son all alone. His mother has support and financial backing. Jeff needs both financial help with legal fees and help networking to find expert witnesses who will help keep his son safe. The court is requiring Jeff to pay for transgender therapy and future sexual mutilation of his son. Courts have enjoined Jeff from dressing James as a boy at school, from teaching him that he is a boy, and from sharing religious teachings on sexuality and gender. He has been accused of abuse for saying that his son is a boy. This is literally state-mandated child abuse. With every passing day, it seems more like we are simply in a battle between the forces of good and evil. And that's pretty much it from this article. Jesus effing Christ. Are you kidding me? Forcing a young boy to become a literal transsexual because you want him to be one is literal child abuse. This is just too far. Are you kidding me? So let's get this information straight. Jeff Younger, well, I suppose is this guy. He's a father. And from we can get from these pictures, his ex-wife, Anne Georgulas, is an absolute monster. Now, this isn't the only time that this specific issue has been brought up. I found the exact same issue, pretty much exact same issue, from this case last year from Breitbart. From, when was this? November 27th, 2018. A Texas mother has threatened the father of their 6-year-old son with a child abuse charge because he will not affirm their son is transgender. Are you kidding me? According to a petition to modify the parent-child relationship brought by mother Anne Georgulas, her 6-year-old son James is a gender-expansive or transgender child and by choice now goes by the name Luna. Georgulas, a pediatrician, she specializes in kids. She's a doctor for kids. Is seeking to terminate the parental rights of James' father, Jeffrey Younger, because the child behaves as a boy. His biological sex when he is with his father. James' mother also wants Younger to pay for their son's counseling with a therapist who will affirm his transgender identity and for transgender hormonal treatments which may begin at the age of 8. The willingness of the courts to go along with the probable child abuse is creating conditions for massive social unrest, states Younger in a dossier filed with the court. Few things are more important to people than the care and rearing of their young. The courts are entertaining government suppression of some of the most fundamental practices and traditions of American families. James' mother has diagnosed their son with gender dysphoria, a psychological disorder that is characterized by a child's persistent, consistent, and insistent assertion of their cross-gender statements and behaviors. However, when James is with the father, he reportedly acts and behaves as a boy by his own choice. Walt Heyer, who ultimately rejected his own transgendered life as a female, reports at the Federalist that he has researched the case of James. The transition therapist has observed that James is not consistent, insistent, or persistent in the desire to become Luna. For example, a dossier filed with the Dallas court says that, under the skilled eyes of the therapist, the child was presented 2 pieces of paper, one with the word James and the other one with the word Luna, and asked to pick the name he preferred. When the appointment only included his mother, James selected Luna, the name and gender which he uses at his mother's home and in his first grade classroom. When the appointment was only with his father, however, James pointed to the boy's name James, not the girl's name. The court, however, has prohibited James' father from dressing him as a boy and from sharing faith-based or biologically based scientific teachings on sexuality, even though, as Heyer reports, family friends who observe James when he is in his father's care affirm he dresses and behaves as a boy by his own choosing. James' transition therapist, however, continues to identify him as Luna and to place him on track for gender transition. In his book Trans Life Survivors, Heyer shares first-hand stories of misdiagnosis of gender dysphoria and its heartbreaking results. A questionable diagnosis locks a vulnerable child into an alternate gender identity long before they can understand what is happening or where it might lead, Heyer writes. It's up to the adults to observe the child carefully, consider and question the gray areas, and ultimately guard innocent children against hasty diagnoses and conclusions about something so fundamental as their gender identity. The court has literally told the father that you can't dress your son as a boy. Are you kidding me? And within this Breitbart article, Anne Georgulas literally threatened her ex-husband with child abuse. What is going on in this clown world? She's the one committing child abuse. The court system literally, like I said, is forbidding the father from dressing his son as a boy, from wearing shirts and shorts, and imposing a male gender identity. Someone has to get their gun out and stop this. I mean, this is ridiculous. The court system and mother are literally going to cause this young kid, James, to grow up extremely confused and extremely depressed. Do you want to raise another school shooter? Like, do you want more dead Americans because of what you're doing to this child? Like, what was it? The most recent Colorado school shooter? Wasn't he a tranny? He shot up the school because of that. Do you think that this kid will be normal after going through a sex change at the age of 8? The mother and the courts are literally ruining this child's life before he's even 10 years old. Is that okay? You know what? This article even confirms some things that are just too damning. The mother is literally a pediatrician, and I have her Yelp page right here. She is a literal doctor that specializes in children and helping children, yet she is ruining her son's life. She claims that her son has gender dysphoria. The son is like 6 or 7. He has no idea what the terms masculine or feminine even mean. He just wants to make his parents happy. How the hell does he have gender dysphoria if he acts like a normal boy, but is forced to act like a girl around his mother? She even forces her son to wear a dress, even when he doesn't want to. She has been forcing her son to wear a dress since the age of 3. And yet she is a pediatrician. Now, the article from Information Liberation, it's basically a new update about this case. With the information from Information Liberation, we now know that the Texas court is literally forcing the father, Jeff Younger, to pay for the transgender therapy and future sexual mutilation of his own son despite the father's objections. The father has no authority or rights in this case at all. Look, this court, this Texas court, in all places, it would be, why would it be Texas? But this court is corrupt as well as the mother, and honestly needs to be exterminated. There's no forgiveness in situations like this. There can be no forgiveness for ruining or about to ruin this child's life. The court and the mother are literally robbing this boy of a future for which he has not asked. Now, if I were Jeff Younger, I would look at the 2 possible options for his son. The first option, of course, is just to comply with the court and the mother, and of course I wouldn't do that, and this would be the last possible option to turn to. Now, the second option is for Jeff Younger to make the the members on the court and the mother to disappear, if you know what I mean. They obviously don't care for this boy's life, and will ruin other people's lives if they get their way. Because if the court and mother get their way, Jeff Younger's son is as good as dead. Literally good as dead. It would just take some time before James commits suicide. I think, the transgender community has like a suicide rate of like 41%. I think from the last article I read from Wikipedia. Think about it like this though. If the court and mother get their way, then Jeff Younger will lose his son. His son will literally be a drugged up human sack of hormones that will never be the same. I wouldn't want this for my own son. It's a good thing I don't have any kids. The James he knew will be dead. Jeff Younger must do at least something to save his son. He's got to do something, even if Jeff can't be with him. It would most likely be better if the son James were in foster care than in the custody of the courts and mother. It most likely would. Regardless, Jeff Younger and his son is in an absolutely terrible position. There seems to be no way out. I mean, there really doesn't. And you know what? You wonder why men aren't getting married and raising a family. You have all the responsibility of a family without literally any authority. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I'm Brazen Eagle, and despite this depressing article, I hope you still have a great day.